Health updates.
More recent, we are trying to negotiate with other professional colleagues of ours to carry on some awareness in our communities, in our society, because based on our own experience in this healthy, we are doing so many things that we think we need to talk about, electing the minds of our people. Predicate on this, we are involved in setting a vibrant team that will be engaged in inferior communities.
And the truth behind the Health Alliance. Whether it's the decisions shaping our nation or the stories unfolding right in your backyard, our team is on the front lines. So you don't miss a beat. Join us every weekday beginning from 7 a.m. to 7:45 for 45 minutes of news point and 7 p.m. to 7:45 for 45 minutes of news point for trusted reporting, exclusive interviews, and chip analysis. Blaze Radio 90.7 FM News, real people, real impact. Because when it matters most, we are already there. Blaze FM News up next.
It's indeed Tuesday, July 14, 2026. Good morning and welcome to Blaze News. 45 minutes of raw package news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our world. Here are the big stories topping the headlines. President Joseph Boakai orders the immediate reopening of Vivi Hospital in Swako County, following a high-level meeting to resolve the recent disruption of healthcare services. National Public Health Institute of Liberia that shows the public that the country is prepared to detect and respond to any potential Ebola outbreak. Suspended Human Rights Commission Chairperson Councilor Dempster Brown petitions the Supreme Court of Liberia for the enforcement of his suspension. And away from Liberia, President Trump announces that the United States is reinstating what he called an Iranian blockade. It says the U.S. will act as the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. The news bulletin, the bosses of those making the news host, are engaged on today's presentation. First is Stephen Talu and the news. Stephen.
Good morning, Mandy, and good morning, everyone. President Joseph Boakai has ordered the immediate reopening of a Phoebe Hospital in Swakop, Mount County, following a high-level meeting aimed at resolving the recent disruption of health care services. The hospital was temporarily closed after disputes over the staff replacements, management decisions, and salary disparities as affecting healthcare delivery at one of Liberia's major referral facilities. President Boakai said the government has a responsibility to ensure uninterrupted access to quality healthcare, stressing that no disagreement that should prevent Liberians from receiving essential medical services. He directed all health workers to return to duty immediately and ordered the recall of the hospital's medical director, Dr. Minirix, Human Resource Director Janitor Pewy, and Assistant Human Rights Director Peter Bulawu, pending further administrative review. The president also announced the formation of a special committee led by the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs to investigate the dispute and recommend measures to strengthen the hospital's governance and operations. President Boakai urged all stakeholders to cooperate in restoring normal operations at Phoebe Hospital and reaffirmed his administration's commitment to improving healthcare delivery across Liberia. The National Public Health Institute of Liberia has assured the public that Liberia remains well prepared to detect and respond to any potential Ebola outbreak following a month-long nationwide assessment prompted by the ongoing regional outbreak. Speaking Monday, July 13, 2026, at a press conference in Monrovia, Acting Director General Dr. Sia Kamano said the assessment conducted from June 7 to July 8 across all 15 counties found that Liberia's disease surveillance laboratories, emergency response systems, and border screening remain fully operational. Dr. Kamano said the country has maintained the public health assistance established after the 2014 Ebola outbreak with trained surveillance established officers deployed nationwide to monitor and investigate suspected cases. He urged Liberians to remain vigilant and continue cooperating with health authorities as the government strengthens efforts to prevent Ebola and other infectious diseases. Dr. Siakamana revealed that while the country's Ebola surveillance system remains a strong logistical challenges continue to affect the emergency response efforts. She noted that the nationwide preparedness assessment identified shortages of motorbikes, rain gear, and other field equipment needed for surveillance officers, especially during the rainy season. Suspended chairperson of the Independent National Commission on Human Rights, Councillor Dexter Brown, has petitioned the Supreme Court to stop the government of Liberia from enforcing its indefinite suspension and the appointment of acting chairperson. Through his lawyer, Brown argued that the government violated the Constitution and the law establishing the Human Rights Commission by suspending him without first conducting an investigation or giving him a hearing. He also denies allegations of forgery, failure to hold board meetings, and withholding commissioner salaries, insisting that the evidence supports his position. Brown says the law allows the commission's chairperson to be removed only through impeachment by the legislature, not by executive action. He is asking the Supreme Court to restore him to office while the case is being heard. The government of Liberia not publicly responded to the petition at time of this report. The political leader of the Alternative National Congress, Alexander Cummings, is calling for an independent investigation into the alleged U.S. $19.2 million cocaine seizure at Robertson International Airport, accusing the Unity Party-led government of failing to conduct its transparent and credible probe. Speaking Monday, July 10, in a public statement, Cummings described drug trafficking as a serious threat to Liberia's national security, democratic institutions, economy, and the future of the country's youth. Cummings asserted growing drug abuse crisis across the country, referencing reports that hundreds of drug ghettos operate in and around Monrovia. Speaking on the June 8 seizure of 198 compressed plates of high-grade cocaine, Cummings criticized what he described as the government's slow, secrecy, and compromised handling of the investigation. He questioned how much a large quantity of cocaine entered Liberia and who was responsible for facilitating its movement through the country. He also expressed concern over testimony before the Liberian Senate indicating that one of the principal suspects, Malcolm Brown, also known as U.S. Marshal, reportedly escaped from custody despite previously being imprisoned for the trafficking. Director General of the Civil Service Agency, Josiah Joker, has described the teachers as nation builders and key contributors to Liberia's development. Speaking at the commencement ceremony of the Zoso Rural Teacher Training Institute in Lofa County, Jokai urged the graduates to uphold the values and ethics of teaching profession, emphasizing their responsibility to shape the minds, character, and future of Liberia's children. He encouraged the newly qualified elementary school teachers to serve with integrity, professionalism, and commitment as they begin their careers. The CSA Director General Jukai also congratulated the 52 graduates on successfully completing their teacher training, encouraging them to serve their communities with dedication. He said the graduates are now equipped with the skills and knowledge needed to begin their teaching careers and contribute to improving the quality of education across Liberia. A visually impaired woman from Peace Island, a community in Jacobstown, is appealing to philanthropists, the government official, and 1 million Liberians for financial assistance to help her pay her rent. Speaking Monday in a live interview, Mamaka Kanes has said her landlord has asked her to pay 1 year's rent or face evasion or unpaid rental fees. Kanes says she has begun given until Wednesday, July 15, to raise $300 to secure her accommodation. She explained that her financial challenges worsened after the death of her father, whom she described as a major supporter of her education while she was attending African Methodist Episcopal University. Ghana said the loss of her father left her struggling to continue her education and meet her basic living expenses. She is now appealing to compassionate Liberians and organizations to assist her financially, saying the support will help her maintain stable housing and continue pursuing her educational goals. The Mandina Magisterial Court in Grand Cape County has ruled that defendant Banks and Marvella Dix should stand trial in connection with the death of a 5-year-old girl in Bendu. According to court records, the incident occurred on April 13 when a child was reportedly playing with a friend. Prosecutors alleged that Dix, along with 2 other men, took the child away before her lifeless body was later discovered in a nearby river. Our Grand Cape Mound correspondent Mark Roger reports that Dix appeared before the court on 5 separate occasions during the proceedings. Following the presentation of witness testimony and the evidence, the court ruled that there was sufficient evidence for the case to proceed to the next stage of the judicial process. This has since been transferred to the Roberts Sport Central Prison, where you still remain in custody pending the August term of a court. A group of aggrieved media executives has announced the impeachment of the leadership of the Bond Community Radio Network, citing allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and poor administration. The group alleges that the network's leadership failed to uphold transparency and accountability and ignored repeated concerns over the management of the institution and its resources. They also claimed that no formal meeting was held with the leadership to provide an accounting of how the network's resources were spent. According to the aggrieved executives, the decision to impeach the leadership followed a series of internal consultations and discussions aimed at resolving the issues through dialogue. The group is now calling on members and stakeholders of the Bond Community Radio Network to remain calm and support efforts to strengthen the organization's leadership while respecting its constitution and governing principles. The leadership of the Bond Community Radio Network has not publicly responded to the allegations. The Chief Executive Officer of the Community of Hope Agriculture Project, Bishop Robert Bimba, is calling on the Liberian government to prioritize locally produced food at official meetings and national events. Speaking Monday in an interview on state radio, Bishop Bimba criticized the continued use of imported food during government workshops, cabinet meetings, and national retreats, describing the practice as inconsistent with efforts to promote agriculture and reduce the country's dependence on imported food. He said the government should lead by example by purchasing food from Liberian farmers, arguing that doing so create a reliable market for local producers and encourage increased agriculture production and strengthen the country's economy. Bishop Bimba also revealed that he had encouraged President Joseph Boakai to present Liberian grown rice as an official gift to visiting foreign dignitaries, saying this gesture will showcase the country's agricultural potential and promote national pride. He further urged Liberians to embrace locally produced goods and support domestic farmers, stressing that public support is essential to expanding the agriculture. And away from Liberia, President Donald Trump has announced that the United States is reinstating what he called an Iranian blockade, saying the U.S. will act as a 20% charge on cargo transiting the strategic waterway to cover security costs. However, the administration has not yet explained how such a fee will be implemented or enforced on international maritime law. Earlier, Iran's military said it will not allow the United States to interfere in the management of the Strait, one of the world's most important shipping lines for global energy supplies. Military operations have also intensified. U.S. Central Command says it carried out strikes overnight targeting an Iranian submarine facility and a Navy maintenance aside, describing the attacks as a response to Iranian actions against the commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Blaze News.
Steering Tagu with the news bulletin is the record of future on place news. But new fast factual and always up to date, you are just tuned to Place News One. Here are the big stories topping the headlines. President Joseph Boakai orders the immediate reopening of Phoebe Hospital in Swakopmund County following a high-level meeting to resolve the recent disruption of healthcare services. National Public Health Institute of Liberia assures the public that the country is prepared to detect and respond to any potential Ebola outbreak. Suspended Human Rights Commission Chairperson Councilor Dempsey Brown petitions the Supreme Court of Liberia to halt the enforcement of his suspension. And away from Liberia, President Donald Trump announces that the United States is reinstating what he called an Iranian blockade. He says the U.S. will act as the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. The voice of those making the news is spoke today. We'll take this break when we come back. We'll bring you the voices of those making the news. Well, welcome back to Blaze News Point. We don't take our first development. The National Public Health Institute of Liberia has assured the public that Liberia remains well prepared to detect and respond to any potential Ebola outbreak following a month-long nationwide assessment prompted by the ongoing regional outbreak. Speaking Monday, July 13, 2026, at a press conference in Monrovia, Acting Director General Dr. Sia Kamanot said the assessment conducted from June 7 to July 8 across all 15 counties found that Liberia's disease surveillance laboratories, emergency response systems, and border screening remain fully operational. Dr. Kamanot said the country has maintained the public health systems established after the 2000 Ebola outbreak, with officers deployed nationwide to monitor and investigate suspected cases.
I had the privilege of leading a multidisciplinary countries in Liberia to assess our preparedness fight and prevent any Ebola virus disease in light of the ongoing regional outbreak. This assessment allowed us to evaluate our surveillance system, our points of entry, our emergency operation centers, our laboratories, national and regional. Our isolation considered to determine how prepared are we should there be any case of Ebola government entering Nigeria. We visited 15 points of entries, 9 borders, ground crossings, 4 seaports, 2 airports, 3 regional labs, and 1 national reference lab. What were our findings? Regarding our surveillance structures, I am pleased to report to the Liberian people that we have maintained our system that we established since the 2014 Ebola outbreak. Our surveillance systems remain functional. We have trained cadre of workforce at all levels of the health system, including 98 district surveillance officers, 17 county surveillance officers, and 22 zonal surveillance officers. These surveillance officers remain vigilant and actively conducting research and report. As a requirement for a standardized system, our surveillance officers have been trained in field epidemiology frontline, intermediate, and advanced levels. They also integrated disease surveillance. They've also been trained as rapid response teams to investigate and respond to all priority situations.
Dr. Sia Kamandot revealed that while the country's Ebola surveillance system remains strong, logistical logistical challenges continue to affect emergency response efforts. She noted that in addition, while preparedness assessment identify shortages of motorbikes, rain gear, and other field equipment needed by surveillance officers, especially during the rainy season.
However, the need to be more equipped and always ready to fight cannot be overemphasized. Our findings show that there are challenges with logistics, including mobility, motorbikes, and with rain gear, especially during the rain season, as our surveillance officers strive to conduct outbreak investigations and improve the public health in the last mile. We would like to appreciate the government of Nigeria and all our partners and donors for their support towards strengthening the surveillance system. Under the Health Security Project funded by the World Bank, we have received operational support for surveillance officers and the initial 50 motorbikes to be distributed to surveillance officers. Whilst we await the remaining 100. We have worked with the various county health teams to prioritize and develop a distribution list and submit it to the World Bank. We have also received commitment from the World Bank to train our healthcare workers to detect and manage Ebola virus disease cases at all health facilities. With regards to our emergency preparedness or emergency operations center, the Public Health Emergency Operations Center serves as a vital coordination hub for emergency response, including risk assessment, resource mapping, planning, training, and exercises. They play a pivotal role in coordinating resources, disseminating information during emergencies, and fostering collaboration among stakeholders. Currently, Liberia has 16 public health emergency operations centers, 1 national public health emergency operations center, and 15 sub-national PHEOC. County level PHEOCs are integrated within the county health systems and they are led by a coordinator. In keeping with UNCDC and WHO standards, the county's public health emergency operations center should be structured as a scalable, legally mandated command hub. It must integrate as an incident management system and be built around core components such as policies and procedures, physical structure, information technology, data standards, and skilled human resources.
That's the voice of the acting director general of the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, Dr. Sia Komando, revealing that while the country's Ebola surveillance system remains strong, logistical challenges continue to affect emergency response efforts. At the same time, assuring the public that Liberia remains well prepared to detect and respond to any potential Ebola outbreak, following a month-long nationwide assessment prompted by the ongoing regional outbreak. The political leader of the Alternative National Congress, Zana Gomez, is calling for an independent investigation into the alleged US 19.2 billion cookie seizure at the Rabos International Airport, accusing the Unity Party-led government of failing to conduct a transparent and credible hunt. Speaking on Monday, July 13, in a public statement, Cummings described drug trafficking as a serious threat to Liberia's national security, democratic institutions, economy, and the future of the country's youth. He warned that if left unchecked, the illicit drug trade could undermine investor confidence, damage Liberia's international reputation, and fuel crime and instability.
Fellow Liberians, let us remind this government that drug trafficking is not just a crime. It is a direct threat to our national security, the integrity of our institutions, and the future of our children. It is a threat to our safety, our ability to travel, send food and goods in and out of our country. It is damaging to so many of our youths, and it hurts families and our nation. Around the world, drug cartels have destabilized nations, corrupted officials, fueled violence, and crippled economies. We must never allow our country to walk that dangerous path. Already, drug abuse is destroying our youth and communities. The Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency, LDEA, has confirmed that ghettos exist in nearly every neighborhood in and around Monrovia. Over 866 in total, serving as hubs for chronic drug use and crime. Our children are sleeping in cemeteries. Families across Liberia are suffering. The epidemic has spread to rural areas as well, leaving no community untouched and no family without pain. The pain is real. The matter is no joke, and we are not going to allow a small group of people to play with us here. We are not going to allow that. On January 29, 2024, in his annual message, President Boyka assured us that the fight against drugs was a national emergency. Yet, after nearly 2 years, the drug problem is increasing. We must therefore hold this rescue government accountable. If we fail to act decisively, in addition to destroying our young people, we risk eroding investor confidence and damaging Liberia's reputation among allies at a time when we desperately need their trust, their investment, and cooperation to grow our economy and create job opportunities for our people. This is why we need an independent investigation. The LDA parades and photographs small offenders, even publicly forcing females naked from their homes, while they slowly and secretly proceed in this large cocaine bust. This selective justice must end. I will be leading the charge to encourage my friends in the international community to investigate, preserve, and audit the process surrounding the June 8, 2026, $19.2 million United States dollars drug bust.
Speaking on the June 8 seizure of 189 compressed plates of high-grade cocaine, Cummings criticized what he described as the government's slow, secretive, and compromised handling of the investigation. In question how such a large quantity of cocaine entered Liberia and who was responsible for facilitating its movement through the country.
It has been over a month since the interception of 198 compressed plates of high-grade cocaine was seized at the Rabos International Airport. The Unity Party-led government promised the Liberian people a swift, transparent, uncompromising, and independent investigation. Yet, what we have seen is quite the opposite. The investigation has been secretive, slow, and seemingly compromised. As with many past promises, such as the mysterious approval and funding of the Foya construction project, the alleged illegal mining at the Liberian-Guinea border, which has brought the two countries into conflict, and other grave matters of corruption and misrule, this government's word have proven heavy on public relations and propaganda and very light on substance. Like many of you, we are deeply troubled and frustrated by the slow, sloppy, and suspicious manner in which this investigation is being handled. And that is why we have consistently called for an independent investigation. Instead of clarity, the government has offered confusion. To date, the government has not told the public how such a massive quantity of cocaine entered our country, who brought it here, or where it originated. Are we to believe it was manufactured here in Liberia? The United Party-led government promised to investigate and charge all of those involved, including the big hands in government. Yet, even the slow-paced charges have only focused on the low-level handlers. But how does such a huge volume of cocaine enter any country and transit through without the knowledge and authority of people who have significant power? That is the million-dollar question the public and all of us are asking. Even more alarming is the revelation before the Liberian Senate that Michael Brown, otherwise known as U.S. Marshal, a central figure in this case, previously jailed for drug trafficking, a non-bailable offense, has mysteriously slipped out of prison and vanished without a trace. The government claims 5 suspects have been charged, yet admits it does not know the whereabouts of nearly all of them. The only suspect presented to court weeks after it was clear the drugs were at his home and his workplace is the one who voluntarily surrendered. This raises disturbing questions about collusion between state security personnel and the big hands within or close to the corridors of power.
That's the voice of a political leader of the Alternative National Congress, Alexander Cummings, criticizing what he described as the government's slow, secretive, and compromised handling of the drug investigation. And at the same time, calling for an independent investigation into the alleged U.S. 19.2 million cocaine seizure at the Barbados International Airport, accusing the Unity Party-led government of failing to conduct a transparent and credible prompt. To this development, the Medina Magisterial Court in Grand Cayman County has ruled that defendant Banks Mafia Diggs should stand trial in connection with the death of a 5-year-old girl in Bendu town. According to court records, the incident occurred on April 13 when the child was reportedly playing with a friend. Prosecutors allege that Diggs, along with 2 other men, took the child away before her lifeless body was later discovered in the nearby river. Our Grand Cayman County correspondent is Mark Rogers. He now report.
Yeah, this case originated especially in April, on the 13th of April, where this 5-year-old and her friends they were playing, and Marvelous Diggs, according to what was said in the court, the Marvelous Diggs with 2 other guys took this little child, and that very evening they couldn't see the child, only to meet the child body lying in the water. So that had gone for a while. The case then to the Medina Magisterial Court. He appeared in the court 5 different times. So Wednesday, the court finally came up with the ruling. The court came up with a ruling holding them Marvelous Diggs responsible or liable for the crime committed based on witnesses' account given. So the prosecution provided 4 witnesses, and they all gave similar accounts, accusing Ben Marvelous Diggs and his friends of murdering the child. So based on that, finally he had been transferred to the Robertsburg Prison Center, waiting for a case to be assigned for the circuit court, either the August term of court or the November term. Because the magisterial court is a lower court, is a court of record, so they took notice of all what the witnesses provided, and that's how they brought it down liable for the crime committed. But the 2 other guys who the witnesses accused of being part of the case, they are still on the run, and nobody has been able to identify them, and this is how far the case has gone. He did not admit to the crime, and he was represented by his lawyer, and he himself was present in court. He did not admit to the crime, but from the prosecution provided 4 witnesses, and all of the witnesses gave similar accounts as to how they saw Marvelous Diggs took the child away, and in fact, they saw him with the child, dumping the child in the lake Piso. So all of the accounts, and based on that, the prosecution said Ben is still liable for murdering the child. So that is not a final judgment. The court is a lower court, so finally they have forwarded the case to the circuit court in Robertsport.
That's the voice of Mark Rogers, our Grand Cayman County correspondent, reporting after the Medina Magisterial Court in Grand Cayman County ruled that defendant Banks Mafia Diggs should stand trial in connection with the death of a 5-year-old girl in Bendu town. To get out the news now in the world of sports, let us rejoin Stephen Talu.
Al Ila SC has announced the termination of Liberia International Camara contract just a few weeks after parting ways with Canis Colo. The club thanked Camara for his time with the club and wishes him success in his future career. However, Al Ila had a total of 3 Liberian players during the last season campaign and parted ways with 2 leaving Emmanuel and Flomo as the longer Liberian with the club, who was awarded a 3-year contract with the club after the climax of the season. Still in Liberia, the Sports Steering Committee of Electoral District Number 12 has officially confirmed the appointment of Sidi Kumate as assistant coach of District Number 12 football team out of the 2026 Masurado County Electoral District League. Coach Kumate brings a valuable experience to the technical team, having previously served as a trainer with Discovery's Soccer Academy and Lofa County football team in the 2024 and 25 National County Sports Meet. And latest, the Liberia Football Association Orange Cup of female category is to be held today, Tuesday, 14 July 2026, with War Girls taking on Shatter Angels at the SKD practice pitch. And lastly, in the World Cup, the semi-final starts today with Spain hosting France at 8 o'clock. And that's the sports.
Steven Talud with the passion of live sports is indeed a record of featured on Blaze News Panel. We don't take more development. The Chief Executive Officer of the Community of Hope Agricultural Project, Bishop Robert Benda, discussing on the Liberian government to prioritize locally produced food at official meetings and national events. Speaking the Monday in an interview on state radio, Bishop Benda criticized the continued use of imported food during government workshops, cabinet meetings, and national retreats, describing the practice as inconsistent with efforts to promote agriculture and reduce the country's dependence on imported food. He said the government should lead by example by purchasing food from Liberian farmers, arguing that doing so will create a reliable market for local producers, encourage increased agricultural production, and strengthen the country's economy.
That the government herself, you have to patronize everything that is grown locally. It don't make sense for the Ministry of Agriculture to host workshop and eat imported food. It's a disservice. It don't make sense for the President of Liberia to host a cabinet meeting and eat imported food, imported rice. It's a disservice. That got to stop. If they are serious about making this country what it's supposed to be, they should not be eating imported food at the cabinet meeting, at any retreat, even at the celebration. I brought it to the President of Liberia attention. I met him and I told him in one of the meetings at the Marchon, you use Liberian rice as a gift. You don't give any other thing because this is Liberia pride. Rice is Liberia pride. When people visit the President, and he agreed, but the people around him are yet to enforce what the President said. And these are issues because there are people in this country who don't believe in Liberians. They believe in strangers. It got to change. If agriculture sector must rise above poverty, above what it is. So if we can address this issue and use the media communication from start to end, you got to make all the agriculture good things visible in this country, and people need to talk about it. And by the time we do this, there is a boom revolution. Everybody know you come to Liberia, you will eat homegrown. It's really, people say it's the engine. It's the engine for economic growth. But I always tell people, what makes the engine function properly is oil. If there's no oil in your engine, no matter what, it can be the best engine, the newest engine with no oil, it's not going to function, it's going to malfunction. And what is happening here is we need to understand that there are so many skillful and unskilled labor that the only sector that has the ability to take in all these different ages of people is the agriculture sector. And when we are intentional about agriculture, we right here in Zubata at our headquarters, we got hundreds of people signing up in the morning, coming for daily job, people coming for daily hire, people want to be employed all across our project zones that we are investing in. But that's really the truth, because it's not just about growing the food, talking about the dairy farm, but the packaging, the transportation. Now you need the IT people. You talk about mapping all those kinds of different aspects. So it's really true, and then it has an economic potential. It can put money into people's pocket when people are growing it. If you buy imported rice, how many jobs it creates? Just to offload and load, that kind of job that creates. There's not job creation there for people to be importing rice in this country and people offload and offload. When you are producing in this country, the tractor operator gets money.
Bishop Benna also expressed confidence that with sustained investment and strong national commitment, Liberia could achieve food self-sufficiency and begin exporting agricultural products within the next 3 years.
I mean, one of it is this seed issue. There's plenty of materials. It's a huge one. It's a big opportunity when you have plenty. Look, you can't talk about yields when you don't have good plenty material. Plenty material tied to yields, whether it is from the animal sector, whether it's from the crops, whether it's from the cash crops, whatever it is. Plenty material, having good plenty material is cardinal to yield. Because the whole thing about agriculture doing as a business is you must cut down production costs. The yields must increase. But if your yields are very little, you're not going anywhere. I mean, over time, like is getting 1.5 metric tons in rice. Some is reporting at the research station 4 tons, some is 3 tons. Other countries are reporting 8 metric tons, 11 metric tons. We work with the Mali group, we work with other regional groups. They're reporting 8 metric tons. 8 metric tons per hectare is a game changer right there. So that's one aspect. The next is access to agriculture finance. My friend, you need money to do agriculture. Agriculture is not for babes. You need money, good money to do agriculture. You don't want any money with bottlenecks. We need where we can go and access agriculture financing with less than 2 digit. You need 1 digit number in terms of interest. If there's any interest to pay on agricultural loan, it should not be 2 digits, it should not be 10%. It should be 9872. Nothing more than 1 digit. And we don't have any bank in this country that provide agricultural financing for less than 1 digit. The third area that they can focus on is extension. Extension is critical. The farmers don't know what to do. You can have the right seed, you can have the right land, but if you don't know what to do, when to plant. Agriculture is time, and the extension, they have done well. They have hired a lot of young people onto the field, but the gap is still there. The ratio of extension workers to farmers is still huge, and people don't know what to do. Some people are just doing something because they want to keep engaged, and that is the basic part. They only know they make farm. Whether the farm is done properly, is not done properly, they're where they are, and then the yields are so little afterwards. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's frustrating. The fourth area you want to look at in that whole area that they can invest is the area of mechanization. Mechanization is very critical, but not just any kind of mechanization. We need to look at the medium, because the issue of maintenance, the issue of really making it work to the level it needs to work is critical. You want to have a big combined harvester, big John Deere.
That's the voice of the Chief Executive Officer of the Community of Hope Agricultural Project, Bishop Robert Benna, calling on the Liberian government to prioritize locally produced food at official meetings and national events. At the same time, expressing confidence that with sustained investment and strong national commitment, Liberia could achieve food self-sufficiency and begin exporting agricultural products within the next 3 years. Today's development, the visually impaired woman from Peace Island community in Jacobstown is appealing to philanthropists, government officials, and well-meaning Liberians for financial assistance to help her pay her rent. Speaking Monday in a live interview, Mama Kakanen said her landlord has asked her to pay 1 year rent or face eviction or unpaid rental fees. Kanen says she has been given until Wednesday, July 15, to raise $300 to secure her accommodation.
Yes, I need help towards my renting, and my roof is leaking, and my landlord said that I should pay 1 year's money. If I'm not paying 1 year's money, I should enter his place on the 15th, which is after tomorrow. And the place is leaking, and I don't have money now to pay the rent. It's $300. Yes, when the market did the price interview the food, they go Friday and so on, yesterday. I said, my brother, market did the interview on Friday, beyond food. I was at the bus when he did the interview, someone was able to send me $50. So the review is $250. I don't pay $50. I'm asking the corporate and our district leader, Bishop Brian, Musa, Sherry, or the representatives, any humanitarians are asking the public, anyone that gets on the video on this little FM are asking anyone to help me because by Wednesday they said that we will allow Lord to take me all of his place because when Anna paid him 1 year's rent so that he can rent for the place. They are even sending a notice to the Lamaka. I live in student for even doing my educational journey. I've been really going. Darren, I said I lost my father. I lost my father 2017. I don't have family member in this because I'm person with disability. When I reach out to them, they will be thinking that I'm not calling ability to the brain. And that's what I mean. Also, ability because I'm not on the street. Even though I'm not better than those like on the street, I'm not better than them because at least I'm making a wave so that I can be able to earn money for myself. But I'm student for the
That's the voice of Mama Card Cannon, a visually impaired woman from Peace Island community in Jacobstown, appealing to philanthropists, government officials, and well-meaning librarians for financial assistance to help her pay her rent. Well, listeners, on this note, this is how we love to come to the end of the Tuesday, July 14, 2026 morning edition of Blaze Newsman. We'll go to recap of the major stories. President Joseph Boycott orders the immediate reopening of Phoebe Hospital in Suakoko County following a high-level meeting to resolve the recent disruption of healthcare services. National Public Health Institute of Liberia assures the public that the country is prepared to detect and respond to any potential Ebola outbreak. Suspended Human Rights Commission Chairperson Councillor Dempster Brown petitions the Supreme Court of Liberia to hold the enforcement of his suspension. And away from Liberia, President Donald Trump announces that the United States is reinstating what he called an Iranian blockade, says the U.S. will act as the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. So many thanks to our news director, editor, reporter, and correspondent for making this edition of Blaze News Point of Sources. Steven Tyler brought you the news bulletin in the person of last post. Conan Rufus that controlled and coordinated this presentation. On behalf of the News and Current Affairs Department of Blaze Communications Network Incorporated, my name is Menso Mendid Abrizente. Good morning and have a pleasant day from Pinsville.